Whoever thought here now would be side by side. Making music burning nice and side by side. Collaborating on the project is a case side. Celebrating, realizing what a true calling. We visualizing the type of future we wanna have. We feel forces, face fears for the bottom. We take chances, might fail, no problem. I feel it in my veins and my days about to come. Look into my eyes, tell me what you see. I'm ready for detonation, suicide bomb. Hold on to your lady, cause I'm sneaking with the game. Give her the ice and she will never be the same. The same greatness, future generation. Father.
Welcome everyone to Beyond the Black Tag Season 2. We're gonna kick it off being live here all together with my co-host Mau and myself Jeremy, and we are being visited today by a really awesome guest. Her name is Samu Mkhize. Samu, how are you today?
I am doing great. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, how did you get here?
An Uber. I just got an Uber and drove straight here.
Came through. Yeah, well, thank you for being with us. We are excited. We always say whenever we have females or feminine energy in the room, the dynamic changes. So, and we know it's elevated.
Oh,
all right.
Thank you.
So thank you for gracing us with your presence. How are you doing? So what will happen? You'll introduce yourself. You'll tell people who you are and all that. But before we get into that, just how are you doing? How, just in general as a person, how are you doing?
In general as a person right now, actually I'm doing very well.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel very emotionally regulated. I feel that my schedule is going well. And I just feel on top of things right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, that question of how are you is so misunderstood or not taken correctly, where we say, how are you? I'm fine. And that's all we get.
Yeah, we always say I'm fine, even if I'm not.
But
you know what?
okay.
I never say I'm fine.
Yeah.
I always give context.
Remove that from the
I'm like,
vocabulary.
I'm tired because of work.
Yeah.
I always go beyond I'm fine.
And do people take that well when you are open and honest about that?
Not guys.
Is that so?
The men get it, they're like, oh, she's like, actually tell me. The girls are like, they feel like it gives them permission also to open up. They're like, oh, I can totally relate. Yeah.
So basically what I'm hearing is men have a lot to learn from women. If we pay attention, yeah?
It's better that it came from you. I endorse this message.
Okay. Well, again, like you said, thank you for being with us. Tell us who are you? ID number,
bank
account number, everything. who is Samu Mkhize? Where are you from?
Wow. Okay. So Samu Mkhize is an oldest daughter. I am from KZN, Zulu. Shout outs.
Yeah.
I was raised by my grandmother, so I'm ingane yakhulu. Oh, you can translate it to grandma's baby. I love singing. I love all things creative. So I love painting. I love what other things are creative? Like creating. I love creating. I love reading. I'm a huge book enthusiast. What else? I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Very important.
Yes. 11 years now, baptized.
Oh.
Yes, very proud.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a little bit about me. Yeah, we'll get to know more. As
Yeah. I'm picking up. You're very artistic. You're in touch with just like your inner self and the creative side. Also, what are you reading right now?
I am reading the 7 Gospels of Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Yes, it's.
So you're into religious books.
I'm into it.
Into
Like,
everything.
I obviously have to curate because what I've found is that literature now is not as clearly defined, like the bounds of this is a book that has. Sorry for my language, like smut or inappropriate things. So you kind of have to do your research and see who's read it and see if any of those themes are there.
Yeah.
So I do find myself these days leaning more into religious books because I can read with like a calm heart and just like relaxed.
Yeah.
Because nothing's gonna surprise me.
Okay.
What's your perspective on self-help books?
Oh my goodness. I could talk all day.
Really?
You know what? Before I found, I would say, a deep relationship with Jesus Christ, and before I joined the church, I was super into self-help books.
Oh wow.
Super. Like I was that person. Like I'm not gonna promote anything, but I was like, think of all the self-help books that are famous. I was into those. But I think I kind of substituted them for the gospel, and they made me sort of an idol to myself, and were trying to, for me personally, like push God out. You can do it. You're the master of your destiny. You're the captain of your ship. You are the end all be all.
Yeah.
That's what they did for me. So it took me a while after I joined the church to like get rid of that, and then come in with now the perspective that Jesus Christ is, you know, my one and true Savior. He's above everything, and then He empowers me to be all that I can. So now I can read, you know, like Atomic Habits, all those
Now
books.
it's a perspective.
Now it's a good perspective. I don't make them, you know.
Idols.
Exactly.
And funny enough, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
But Atomic Habits is where I'm stuck.
Yeah.
But I don't like reading, but I know I want to read because I want what's inside the book. You know, there's the saying of if you want to hide something from an African, put it in a book.
Wow, from an African.
They don't like reading because it's like as simple as that.
Yeah.
But so now I've been the person to say, okay, well, I have to, you know, and let me open the book so I can get something out of it. But the one book that has helped me to understand the gospel principles along with self-help was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
So
By Steve Covey.
By Steve
So
Covey.
good.
I believe he's a member of the church, and him being that, him incorporating that, both teaching his kids, teaching corporate settings, and telling us the stories of other people. Beautiful book all around to be able to help me have that same perspective from you.
Absolutely.
I'm struggling to read it. I used to be an avid reader. Now, if it's not an audio book, it's going to take me a long time to finish.
But then who says that's not reading?
No, exactly.
Reading in my mind.
I listen to what you have to say. I don't have to read it.
What busy? Okay, you're washing dishes.
Yeah,
It's like a drive-through book.
Come on.
Okay, so you touched that you've been a member for 11 years. Okay, beyond the black tag, we speak about and to return missionaries who are church members. You also mentioned you're the oldest of 3. Of how many siblings?
Yeah, 3.
Oh, you're 3 siblings. Yeah, okay. So tell us a little bit about that. How did you guys come into contact with the gospel? Were you religious before then, before the 11 years? And just how did you guys come about this? We know, for example, you served the mission. We're going to get into that.
Absolutely.
Your sister, after you served the mission, after that, your other sister is on a mission currently. So there's a trajectory of missionaries in the family.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like how did you guys come across the gospel and all that?
Okay, so it was the summer of 2011. I was in my matric year. And like you said, I'll give a bit of context. My family has always been Christian, always. We identified with non-denominational born again.
Okay.
So we've always gone to church all my life. I don't remember a season where I was not in church. And so I was very familiar with, you know, scriptures, with who Jesus Christ was, but I wouldn't necessarily say I had a relationship with him. I knew him as a deity, you know, a father, you know, this being. I didn't know him in a personal sense. Okay. So when I got to grade 12, as I said, me and my sister Pindi, we approached our mom and we were like, we're gonna stop going to church. I know.
Okay.
Yes. Because we're like, and my mother has always been my role model, like all of my life. Like she didn't drink, I didn't drink. You know, she did this, I did this. Just my actual role model. So when I would come and she's like, this is off script a little bit. And she's like, why? We're like, at your church, I feel like it's for adults that already went to Sunday school.
Yeah.
Like we're not learning anything. It's just like praise and worship. And then they like go to Leviticus and we're like, where is that? All the New Testament. And so because of that, we just felt very disconnected from the church. So we're saying, we're done. Either we find a church that, you know, suits us or we're done. So my mother suggested that we fast, all 4 of us. So it was me, my mother, my 2 younger sisters. So she said, let's fast for a church that, caters to younger people. And I kid you not, we fasted, and 2 weeks later after the fast, the missionaries came.
No way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That is crazy.
By divine design.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
were very intentional.
Okay.
And so when the church came, we weren't surprised, because we were looking for a church. But so when the missionaries came, I was home with my sister Zoe, and Zoe was like, Samu, come!
Yeah.
And I come and I see, this American and this Ghanaian, and I'm like, oh my word, I've been seeing them around our neighborhood for the past 3 months. And I've been literally like hoping that they would come to us.
Wow.
But I thought they were selling something.
Yeah. I was about to say, were you not worried or scared? Like that.
Like salesmen.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were soliciting Jesus Christ. So I was very shocked. So I was like, oh, yes, you came. And then they started saying the Church of Jesus Christ or whatever they said. So I'm like, oh,
That's a lot.
That's not what I thought. But I was like, okay, my mother's not here. Come back tomorrow at 5 p.m. sharp tomorrow. So my mother comes home with my sisters, everybody. I sit them down. I'm like, so we have visitors tomorrow. What visitors? Like someone we know? I'm like, they're from a church. So let's prepare something to eat,
Yeah.
Africans.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, so we prepared something nice. And they're like, oh, what did someone get us into?
Yo.
Yeah, they literally were like that. But they're like, they're open. From that first lesson, I can truly say I've never felt the spirit so palpable compared to the churches I've been to. It was tangible. When they started talking about the plan of salvation, I was in.
There was no going back.
I was in. Yes.
So would you say that was also the doctrine that kept you in? Where everyone has a favorite thing that actually brought them in, or at least when we talk about investigators or friends of the church, when you teach them that they've got just that one question or that one thing that makes them say, I would love to be here. I'd love to find out more about this specific thing that makes them learn about everything else. Was the plan of salvation that for you?
100%. Because even in, like I said, in the previous, denominations that I went to, I always had questions about God. How did he appear? How did Jesus Christ, who died 2,000 years ago, die for me? Like for me, I just always needed those connections.
Yeah.
And then how does that affect how I'm supposed to live now? You know what I mean? It's like, and I've been living this way, and life has not gotten easier. You know what I mean? I had all these things, and they all pertain to who am I? Why am I here? I had a huge identity crisis because I was a huge people pleaser. And any people pleaser will tell you, you sort of try to be very palatable to people, because you don't want to upset anyone. Yeah. So I had a huge even identity crisis. I'm like, who am I? Why am I here? What are we doing here on earth? Like I really had those questions. And unfortunately, when you're in those churches, they're like, that's a demon speaking. Literally, they're like, oh, you don't need to know where God came from. You know what I mean? You're like, what can you get? So when the first thing they offered was that doctrine and that truth, I was like, they're so open. They're like, more questions, more. I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
Yeah. So Samu, we could take the conversation in many directions. I'm curious to know though. So you were so deeply impacted by what was shared to you, what was brought to you,
Absolutely.
that you later decided that you were gonna go serve, right? I'm assuming this is after high school. Was it before your studies or after
So
your
I
studies?
got baptized in my first year of varsity.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you had finished your studies.
Yes.
Okay. Before I ask you on the mission, was it difficult to go from uni to the mission field and then maybe go back to the corporate world?
No, I had a year in between working.
Okay.
Before I went to the field.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what
I was used to being out of school.
is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I had done that. But why serve a mission? Why did you decide to do that?
That's a great question. Thank you. So I would categorize myself as one of those women who were like marriage first. I wouldn't categorize myself as someone who was like, straight into the church, I'm definitely going to serve a mission. No. I was like, you know, my highest and holiest calling.
Yeah.
A mother and a wife. And I was already like, you know, and just the environment I was around was, you know, the men are going.
Mm-hmm.
So you, as someone who's not going, you know, make sure you get your ducks in a row, like finish your studies.
So when they come, you're ready.
So when they come back, exactly. So then you can hold down the forts while they maybe school.
Yeah.
And then, so I literally was like, you know, I bought into that. And not even bought into it in a negative way, but it for me looked positive, and I was like, I'm in.
Right.
And so, but then it was when I turned 20, I did personal progress. I saw the young women doing it, and I was like, oh, I missed out. I joined when I was 18, so I never got to go to youth at all. Yeah, I never got to experience youth. So I went straight into YSA. So I was like, I'd love to do this, and I'm struggling to finish the Book of Mormon. So my young women president at the time, well, she wasn't mine, but the awards, she's amazing. Sister Mkhize, oh my word. She's the one who, like, she invited me. She was like, yeah, you can join us. And for the first time, I finished the Book of Mormon. And I always say there's a Samu before finishing the Book of Mormon and a Samu after.
Ooh.
Yes, like my proper BC story.
Nice.
It transformed me. Like the pages came alive. I literally felt like a conduit, an instrument of the Spirit. If the Spirit told me to do something, I just did it. And then more light came. My thoughts were different. Even my dreams were different. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I transformed. And I could feel like a personal relationship with the Savior. I really got it. When people spoke about the atonement and what it means to us, I finally got it. So from that, a desire started to build. And I was like, oh, I'd love to be like, you know, Alma, you know, Hilleman, go out, you know, recall some of our brothers and sisters. So that seed was planted while I was reading the Book of Mormon. But then still, again, I was still resistant. I was still like, but then I can do that in sharing the gospel with my children. Yes. Okay. So I had a sort of marriage prospect that didn't work out. And fortunately, now you look back, fortunately. And then I...
Sorry, but by that do you mean you like got engaged type thing, or like...
Not got engaged.
It was getting to that stage? It was... Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yes,
yeah. But it didn't work out.
Okay.
Yeah, from his side.
Yeah.
Don't want to speak for him yet. So, you know, you're heartbroken, you're young, but then it just, always the thought came back to me, like, maybe it's because I was a mission. I'm like, nah. Then I went on at FSY in 2016. So now it's 2 years, fast forward, 2 years.
Okay.
I went to FSY, and I kid you not, as I was a counselor, every talk that spoke about mission should have been diverted to, oh, I can't wait to, you know, the kids are getting motivated. It was directly speaking to me. Everything. Anytime I went back to pray, the first thought that would come up is, are you now ready to serve a mission? So when I got home, after those 5 days, I finally got serious. You know, I was like, thy will be done. I knelt, and the Lord sent me to Doctrine and Covenants 1:15. And literally that section speaks about leave all else behind and go and serve my people. I said, you don't have to tell me anymore.
You wonder, was this for strength of youth or for strength of some?
Exactly. And then from that on, I told my family I'm going to serve.
Wow. That's amazing. And your sisters followed, of course.
Yeah.
Yay.
Do you think that was in part because of your example, or are they inclined like you? Did they also have this conviction to go and serve?
Yeah.
Or what do you feel like it was that influenced them?
I think a bit of both.
Okay.
They have expressed to me that, you know, they do look up to me in that sense. And I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
I too look up to them. Honestly, they are doers of the word. They are. I can truly say that. I always say when I'm like, when I ask for advice or something from them, and they're like, I never feel like, oh, you're a younger sister. Your spirit is giant to me, you know, because of I know the work that you put in your daily life. So I say it's a bit of both. They always had a desire like to just do their best in the church, listen to the Heavenly Father, but also they have expressed to me that, you know, once you kind of like brought it to the forefront, you're like, oh, this is possible.
Okay.
Yeah,
So when and where did you serve?
I served in, my mission,
Mm-hmm.
I served in the Jamaica Kingston mission, but I served in 3 countries.
Mm-hmm.
I served in Ghana, then I served in Jamaica, then I served in Bahamas. So that was my mission.
Bahamas is like part of the Jamaica Kingston
Yes,
mission?
but it's like a different country.
Okay.
Yes, so it's a whole other ballgame.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So you started off in Ghana.
I started off in Ghana.
Visa? What was that? How do you go to Ghana
It's
if you don't have a visa? Because
They got me a quick
they're keeping them in Joburg because they can't go to Ghana.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, what?
Yes.
Crazy.
I was pre-pandemic, so we didn't have any sisters in South Africa. So there was absolutely no way I could serve here.
Okay.
So quickly they got me a visa to Ghana, and then I went there, and that's where I was trained.
Yeah.
Ghana Accra mission.
They didn't take chances.
Yeah.
Send here. We don't want, please.
Exactly, like straight from the MTC.
Uh-huh.
They're like, yeah, visa's not ready, but we know where we can send you.
So I have an interesting question. Well, not a question, more of a request.
Mm-hmm.
What is one of your favorite things to say in the languages that are said in your mission?
In my mission.
Because I know we once had this conversation of how the language, I forgot what you said it's called, you know, and there's just the way they speak is interesting. That I mean, everybody knows how Jamaicans speak. We love at how Jamaicans speak.
That's really cool.
And make it and do it ourselves. So what is something you've enjoyed saying, or like, I don't know, a favorite line?
Yes. Oh, there's a few, but okay, I'll give you 2. The first one, of course, like when you get anyway, like wagwan. I just love that. It just makes you feel at home. You know, wagwan, we charge you wagwan. You know? And then another one is like when Jamaicans express like they love you, or they love like you as a group. Instead of like a plural, they use uno, like me love uno bad, you know, me love uno bad.
Me love uno bad.
Me love uno bad.
Yo.
So I love that. They're so loving. They're very loving country.
That's cool. It almost feels like a vacation, almost. Like,
Let me tell you something.
Like, I'm going to this island, I'm just gonna chill.
Just got a tag to say, well,
Wow.
I'm on business every now and then.
Yeah.
Jamaican missionaries. Get them. No, definitely not a vacation. Because first of all, you can't even swim.
Yeah.
So we weren't going to the tourist spots that even had to do with like what attracts people to Jamaica.
Yeah.
We are in like they have a bush, they have a very rural place, you know. And honestly, it reminded me a lot of South Africa, like the townships and stuff. Yeah, very dusty roads. And just very like all walking, it's super authentic,
Yeah.
It's not like the vacation spots.
And it's never the same. Like reading, because I was in the perception of Jamaica or any country until you get there and you realize like certain things that
It's not that hectic, or it's even
Because
worse.
in my head, I just think I see like a lot of Bob Marley's, you know, everybody's like chilling under a shade tree, eating a mango, and it's like, oh come on man, what is this? Okay, Sam. So you serve your mission, you serve faithfully, you love the people, you love the countries, both Ghana, Jamaica. You come home, right? How does it feel like? Very briefly, because we don't want to dwell too much. But how does it feel like coming home, adjusting back to reality, so to speak? How was that transition for you?
It was not easy, honestly. It was not. A couple of the RMs who are my friends who had gone way before me had sort of warned me a little bit that Samu, you will be like strange, you know, you will feel strange and you will be strange to those who have
coming back.
coming back, that you will feel out of place. And others will even comment on it like, oh, you're a little different, you know? Yeah. And they're like, basically they were like, just embrace the weird, you know, and then stay close to those whose testimonies you feel like you can lean on. So I really took that to heart. I really did, because I respected those friends. So when I came back, it was like the third day of being back home. I came back to not like a job or school, you know, so I was at home. And all these thoughts started flooding in because I was just like, I really felt that thing of what is my purpose now? I really felt it. Like when I say I was in the mission field, I was in it, you know. I had took no thought for home. Oh man, you know that talk by Elder Holland that speaks about tomorrow the Lord shall do wonders among you, and then it speaks about how sometimes we have these spiritual experiences. We go on like Mount Transfiguration, and then you have to come down. Yes. So physically, that's what it felt like. I really felt that more than ever on my mission, the Spirit was tangible to me. Like I felt like a physical connection even to Him, even beyond the burning in the bosom. So when it was like, you know, you're no longer set apart, you're no longer preaching the gospel every day, I really could feel, not that He's far from me, but it was not the same. I felt it. And that kind of scared me. It honestly did. And I remember speaking to my bishop and being like, this is weird. I feel a little like, you know, something. I couldn't put it into words. My bishop is wonderful. He was awesome. But, you know, sometimes bishops, they look at you like, Samu, you're so strong. You're a wonderful sister. You know, and I think I did need that, but I also needed to be not taken a bit more seriously, but taken a bit more seriously. My concern.
Okay.
Not that he disregarded me, but he was like, you know, you're overthinking, you're great, you know, we already gave you 2 callings and you're killing it. So to me,
just keep going.
Yeah, you're doing amazing. And I'm like, I'm struggling.
In need of that, sometimes just say, don't worry, come. So I have 1 or 2 questions that might come out of this. Based on what you just said right now, you've got that issue of you're a returned missionary who's not exactly cared for, right? You just served a mission. You've just done 2 years. You're spiritually independent.
Yes.
But not a lot of people understand that when we come back, that spiritual independence, yes, is there, but because of the temporal independence, or the physical independence that we do not have, it also gets a bit shaky. Where I want to serve, I want to be able to take the youth to youth every Sunday, every Friday, or I want to be able to pick up that investigator and help them to get to church, whatever, but I do not have the means. I do not have the vehicle, I do not have the money for petrol and all those things. We're on mission, we had everything. That's one perspective at least. How would you, what would be a counsel to maybe leaders or other people to taking care of us when we get to that position? Because a lot of us get there and we're like, and they're just making us work. And then other returned missionary will just stop working and sit at the back.
Yes.
You know, so what's your take on that?
My take, first of all, I've always been an advocate even before they came up with the post-mission pamphlet or pushing it. I was always like, I feel like there should be at least a week-long getting off mission MTC.
Return missionary MTC?
Yeah, we spoke about that.
It makes sense. Like we did all of this, we put you in this environment that's very set apart, it's very peculiar. And then we need a way to transition, you know, can't just drop you on the tarmac and say, you know, you have the tools, go do it.
You got it.
Yeah, you got it. And I'm saying for myself, I was already 25 when I came back. So, and I had my degree, like, and I'd worked. I had, you know, a head on my shoulder, and I felt so much sympathy for the younger person who just came from high school, and that's all they experienced, and now you're just thrusting them back into the world. So I was like, there needs to be some type of 1 week where you're just being, you know, catered to, and you're being told, you know, how to navigate the first few months back. So I do advocate for that, hopefully.
And your counsel to the leaders?
My counsel to the leaders, when you say to us, when we go, forget yourself and go do the work, we do. And so when we come back, we feel like we've forgotten how to be Samu the individual.
Right.
I now excel at how to being at being Sister Mkhize. And so please speak to Sam. She feels very lost. She feels very alone. She feels very unsure. And she feels small in comparison to Sister Mkhize.
Oh my goodness. All right. Oh my goodness. And I love, because that was going to be the next question, I love how Jeremy transitioned it back to what is your counsel to the leaders. Oh man, that was such a beautiful response. Here's the inverse of that, okay? The church tends to have very high expectations of people. So we're asking question of expectation, okay? So there's all these expectations in the church where young people are expected to go on missions, get married, serve in the church, even if you don't want to serve. Go on mission even if you don't want to go on mission. What do you feel about that? Do you feel like that does more good or harm, or you don't really have how do you feel about the expectation and what it does to people who don't really want what is expected of them?
So I've gone through periods in my life where I experienced the expectation, like I looked at it in different ways,
Okay.
at different times. I would say at the start, the expectations set before us were very exciting to me. You know, I was like, yes, you know, they want us to reach our fullest potential. You know, they've set out, we have a roadmap. I love roadmaps. I love knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
So I felt like knowing, in this at this part of my life, I should be doing this. At this part of my life, I like something like that. So earlier in my life, I would say being 22 years old, loved it. After I came back from mission, things changed a little bit. They changed in the sense that I had seen where Heavenly Father meets people. That, you know, it really is a come as you are. And that if we said to people, go away, clean yourself up, then come receive the fullness of the gospel, we wouldn't baptize or share the gospel like we're doing. And so I had a lot more compassion and I had a lot more empathy. So when I came back and I would see a young man being like, you know, I've been gone most of my youth, and everyone, instead of just before ministering to them, is like, minister mission. It's like, yes, but you also do speak about the worldliness. So they could feel very intimidated by those two. And so I just, I wasn't like before where it was like, it's your duty, go. You know, I was just a bit more like, yes, the church should never stop advocating a standard. The standard is a standard. But also behind the standard there needs to be a lot of love, where leaders and those around us as a community, we need to rally around people who struggle and to meet the standard and meet them where they are.
Basically,
exactly
kind of helping them to, when they meet the standard, they'll stay there instead of jump up and down. I get you.
Absolutely.
And I feel like it ties good or well into your last comment. You say there's Sister Mkhize, the missionary, and there's Sam, and like treat me or meet me where I am. You know, maybe at one point I was there, I'm here now. See Sam the human, see Jeremy the human, you know, see Mao the human. Don't see me as another young person who can you know, increase the stats in the world or whatever.
It's
you know,
true.
So I like that. Okay, well, concluding in a final question. We're out of time, but the final question is, what next for Sam? All right, where to from here for you?
Where to? Well, of course, I'm hoping, you know, Heavenly Father will bless me with marriage. Hoping. But on a serious note, for me, I I've tried my best post-mission to live my life by the Spirit. And so, like Elder Ben always says, be a good girl, be a good boy, and the Lord will do the rest.
Yeah.
So that's really what I'm going to be doing. I love my career where I'm at. I'm staying hopeful, and I really do believe everything that Heavenly Father tells us. You know, when it speaks in Alma about, you know, believe in God, believe that He is, believe in His promises, I do. I believe it. Like, I believe Christ will get me through. I believe, you know, I have the Spirit to be with me. I believe doing the daily work of reading the scriptures daily, praying daily, serving, it really does work. You know, I believe all those things. And it doesn't work in the sense of being like a moment culture.
Yeah.
It works in the sense of your salvation, in the sense of working out your exaltation. It works, and I would not be anywhere else. So that's what's in store for me. It's just staying true to the gospel, trying my best to help those around me, lift, you know, shoulders that hang low, and yeah, hopefully one day being a wife and a mother.
Okay. Do you have any final concluding thing?
I think for what we've just said is, I think that perspective or that look at what's next is what kind of drives us. Of course, the eternal perspective should drive us. Eventually, I want to get to God, but how am I getting there? And looking at, well, the next step is marriage, kids, and all that stuff.
Yes.
We absolutely love you. We adore you. We're so happy that we've had you here on the show. Your energy is always just so bright. You know, when you walk into the room and you say hi, it's like, hi. You know, I'm so glad to be here. You know, so we're happy that you got here, and we're happy that you were able to share your words of the gems. You know, as Mao loves to call them.
Yeah.
And my concluding thought is just how I think the returned missionary does need to be taken care of.
Yes.
They must also just never forget to take care of themselves, you know, and work on how can they be a better person. And so that when they're on their way doing that, the leader or the adult who sees that they're struggling can be able to help them pick up where they are, you know, and then meet them where they are. And, you know, I find it hard to, at least for myself, be met when I'm standing still, where I'm like, I need a job, but I'm not doing anything to get the job, you know, or I need to get to the temple, but I'm not doing anything to do it. When I'm making a move going forward, then is it easy for me to be like, hey, I just need a bit of money. I need 20 Rand on top of this 50 Rand for this Uber to get me to the temple or to get me to the job interview or whatever it is. I find that to be the case. But we all just need to work on ministering one by one to one another and allowing each other to be vulnerable and not saying, hey man, you'll be fine, just go to the temple, you know, relax.
Yeah.
So, and that's something that I've seen you do in the way that you work with the other sisters and speak to the other sisters and saying, oh, don't worry, come give me a hug.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you are, and I love that about you. And so I'm just hoping that that's something we can share with everybody else.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Thank
What we're gonna do for all of our family online, Sam has written an article. Was an article you recently wrote with your sister.
Yes.
We'll put a link to that as well. We'll put your socials, and people can just reach out, follow her on Instagram and whatever else.
Please follow these guys.
Yeah.
No, you're really quite amazing. I always say, like, this is the modern tool that really will reach those arms so that we don't go get them. We catch them before they
100%.
fall away. So you are at the forefront of that.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Guys, you heard it. Subscribe, comment,
Please.
share. All right. Let's grow this platform to reach those people. And we're out of here.
Who would've thought that it's pretty like a spray gun? It's full of flows like the fake one, say one. Nigga jokes, Michael Blackson. After the door, we watch 'em fall, K-Cross. I can't stop, won't stop, till his feelings burn out.